So yeah, so that construction project management is an interesting one. So if you do a normal formal contract, you have a JCT, which is like a legal binding contract between the principal contractor and the client. So you will then, prior to that, would probably tender it out to 2 or 3 different constructions. But before that, you'd have to find the site and get a design done and a detailed design done so that those tenders can then cost it as accurately as possible. What you don't want is provisional sums throughout your budget that just leave it exposed to being abused if it needs to be redrawn or wasn't drawn. So they're the things. So if you have to excuse my dog Rocco, who's snoring in the background because I'm boring him to death. So anyway, so project management takes you through the design side of things. So my input on the operational side of things to a design in a market hall or into a hospitality space is significant. So I can make sure that it makes sense and that they're maximizing. Sometimes you get designers that are being led by a chef owner, and they end up kind of giving the kitchen 50% of their retail space, and then you've got the operator who wants it to be 33% of the retail space and 66% making money. So it's trying to find that balance of the designer wants it to look amazing and so he can get the pictures and put it in a magazine and walk away. But also you get good designers who understand the industry and understand the flow and understand how things should work and formulate and ergonomic efficiencies, which is very important. So I get involved in the architects and the design side of things. I'm not great at putting colours together and saying that chair needs to go in there with that table. I leave that to my wife, or I leave it to a very good designer to make the decision, because my experience of trying to make all the decisions in this industry, if you're an operator and an owner, is delegate what you can to people who know and accept their decisions in some respect. Yes, you've got to like it, but don't get too bogged down, because you can spend 3 days choosing wallpaper. Fucking nightmare. So once you've got your design, and then you get the other thing is design isn't cheap. You can get a design done for 1,500 quid, gives you a floor plan, but you get a design that costs you £50,000 and you might spend £1 million, but that 50 grand will be the best money you ever spent. So the detailed drawing for every element of the build, so every corner piece of a fixed seating, furniture, the tables, the layouts, the bar frontages, the back bar, the lighting. I mean, it goes on and on and on, as well as covering all the legal requirements of fire, safety, lighting. I mean, it's endless. So a good designer is worth its weight in gold. So finding them is quite difficult sometimes, but getting someone who's got that experience in the field that you're looking to do rather than in something else that you're trying to transition into hospitality. So once you've got that detailed design, then as I said, you then put together a full contract to go to tender with. You put that tender out to qualified builders, not just your uncle's auntie's boyfriend who's done a job putting a garage up for your mate. You take it to, yes, and you're gonna have to spend the money, but it's worth spending the money with a proper experienced contractor who can take significant elements of the job and pull them all and manage that process under one umbrella. Trying to take on too much client directs is dangerous, so you end up trying to do as little client direct stuff as you possibly can and put it all under the main contract and tender it out to 3 or 4, 5, depending on how much time you've got, different people, and get those quotes back. But to get an accurate quote that is like for like, you need detailed drawings. So once you've got that, then we put a program and schedule together. So for this particular job, I sat down with the contractor at their offices. We went through the program. They put their program together. I put the client direct program together, and then we kind of amalgamate those. So we've got a plan and how long that's going to take. So, and then that value of the contract gets put into the JCT, so does the program gets put the JCT and all the appendices. So that's the kind of process. And once you've got that, then you've got your client that then signs the lease with the landlord. At the same time, he signs the contract JCT, and then pays deposits for the client direct as well as the main contractor. Sometimes a contractor would have a valuation every month with no deposit. Some contracts want a 10 to 20%, 30% deposit because there's so much bespoke individual materials to order on day one to fit the program, that they need to outlay all that money at once. So sometimes there's a fairly hefty deposit, and then you redeem the deposit back from your valuations as you go through the job. So they're the kind of things you negotiate. You find a balance that you're happy with the clients, happy with his cash flow management, the contractor with their cash flow management. Once you've got that in place, then that gets legalized, and then literally the clock's ticking. You're pushing the button on the top of that ticking clock, and then it's about going in every week, once, twice a week, to then make sure that the program is following it's supposed to. It's going in every 2 weeks or 4 weeks and doing that valuation. So the contractor's saying, well, here's 27 empty boxes with air conditioning units, and you're picking them up to make sure there is an air conditioning unit in them. Stuff like that. So that, and then making sure that you've got a valuation which is then agreed, that you're up to that. That's how much they spent, that's how much they want to claim against the contract. And then you've got agreeing 90% of that, and then you might say, well, then we're taking off the deposit that we paid you, and then we're taking off the discount that you gave us, and then you got agreed figure, and then making sure they get paid that within 7 days of that valuation, and then it goes on again. So that's how the project management process works. Client directs, obviously you got to make sure you get the deposits and they're all ordered and they all fit into the program, and you put them in touch with your main contractor. And so there's quite a bit to think about. And then once you're on site, I'm checking CDM regs. I'm checking that they've got welfare, that they've got for the people who are working there. The people who are working there are actually qualified to be there, so they have CSCS qualifications, and you're checking those through your app on the phone. You're checking that they've got the PPE and the steelies on, and the high vis and the hard hats, and you're making sure they've got a site diary, and you're making sure they've got all the RAMs and the risk assessments and method statements for every element of the work prior to the contractor coming. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So so it is actually quite an interesting and exciting project, and it's hospitality linked, so it's still very I find it challenging and fulfilling. And then you get to see something. One of the best things in hospitality, anyone who knows this industry, is opening sites. I mean, opening sites is the most exciting, most rewarding part of this business. So I've been lucky enough to do 50 sites of new openings, and through that process I've enjoyed that, seeing that evolution of a space, seeing the staff being engaged and trained, and then seeing the opening night and the customers coming in, smiles on faces, champagne flowing, and great, it's brilliant. And I've also had the benefit of having my own restaurant and coming in on a Saturday night, seeing the bookings. I've got 200 booked. The bar's 3 deep at the bar. Cocktails are flying out. Everyone's having a great time. DJ's putting top tunes on. Your Centaire's blowing beautiful aroma into the place. The lighting's right. The music level's right. Everything's bang on. And it's very, very, very satisfying. But also very challenging. And that is what I'm going to hopefully talk to you about over the next few months. So there's 10 minutes of content. Enjoy.